Pain can make you smaller, or it can make you specific. If you let hurt become a habit, over-explaining, rushing, saying yes to avoid discomfort, it drains your edge and invites more pressure. If you turn it into structure, it becomes gravity. People feel it when you enter. Slower breath, shorter sentences, clear windows, strict corridors, priced speed, one-pass resets, and clean exits. You don't posture. You govern. This part shows how to convert pain into procedures that move rooms without raising your voice. Start by renaming pain as data. The sting you felt when someone ghosted you after you over-delivered? That's a note. My yes arrived before the schedule. The anger when a client demanded a weekend sprint for free? Another note. My rush policy was invisible. The exhaustion after late-night replies that earned more late-night replies? My windows were fiction. The rule is simple. Every pain becomes a line of policy. You don't swear you'll be stronger next time. You install a rule that prevents there being a next time. Begin with reply windows, the quiet engine of your aura. Choose 2 or 3 small windows each day when you respond. Publish them once in your kickoff doc, signature, and welcome note. Inside them, you answer decisively. Outside them, you build in silence. When pain shows up as urgent pings at 1 a.m., you don't argue. You obey your own window. Silence here is not passive aggression. It's the calendar training the room. Scarcity builds anticipation. Anticipation builds respect. Route pain through corridors. Drift happens when scope hides in chat. Decisions live in voice notes, and files scatter in DMs. Standardize. Updates in DMs, edits in the doc, files at one link with dates, calls on the calendar, money on the invoice. When someone tries a side door, quick thought. Can we hop on now? You answer once. Please add it in the doc. I'll review in the window. Then you go quiet again. This is how pain stops being personal and becomes policy. The corridor replaces the confrontation. Price behavior so pain doesn't buy access. Underpricing tells the world your best hour is free, which trains others to waste it. Tie money to touch and tempo. Base tier. Outcomes with replies and windows and 2 revisions. Premium. A weekly call and accelerated replies. Rush check weekend. Exception only, at a number that protects quality. The message is clean. Urgency has a legal door. When speed has a price, fake emergencies die at the gate. Real emergencies fund themselves. You stop feeling used because the terms stop being secret. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I turn pain into policy, policy into calm power. Install the one-pass reset the moment drift appears. Pain often arrives as slow leaks. Off-hour replies, freebies, calls that spill, just this once access. Don't bleed energy on 10 reminders. Change the pipe once. Send a dated reset that reinstalls windows, enforces corridors, caps revisions, posts rush and late fee rules, and sets archive cadence. Then live it. There will be noise for a week and quiet for a year. Your aura of power isn't a look. It's enforcement that doesn't wobble. Turn injuries into sequencing. You felt cut when someone changed scope the day before delivery? Convert that to a sequence that cannot be jammed. Keep a tiny read-only pipeline with 2 lists. Committed. This week's deliveries with exact dates. Queued. Approved extras with start dates and prices. When squeezed today, appears. Point to committed, then to the slot in queued. Pointers replace arguments. Arguments burn attention. Over time, the room learns that planning is cheaper than pressing, and your presence reads as safe because it removes drama. Machiavelli wrote a pattern you can steal. He who would forecast what is about to happen should look to what has been, since all human events have their exact counterpart in the past. Treat repeated pains like repeated weather. Pull the old fix, earlier windows, tighter scope page, clearer exit seal, and apply it sooner. Don't improvise heroics. Rerun what worked. Pattern beats passion. Close scenes so pain can't loop at night. Rumination is unpaid labor. Cap calls at 30 minutes on 2 days. End at minute 28 with a 1-paragraph handoff. What we're doing, by when, where it lives, who owns next. Include archive date and the door to the next paid block. Post it before you stand. If a tiny tweak appears later, paste the changelog entry with date and cost. Doors you leave closed. Stay respected. Doors you flutter become invitations. Sleep is a governance issue. Receipts are the sedative. Organize your body to keep your rules visible. Eyes at brow level, not mouth. City pace walk, straight lines, still hands at navel height, shoulders down. When you speak, lead with the decision, date, and location. Then stop. No filler. Pauses read as oxygen control. People feel the cost of wasting your time because you demonstrate that your attention is already scheduled. Wrap wounds in usefulness, not threats. If a partner disrespected Windows last month but delivers high value, you don't scorch the earth. You write a treaty. Start date, end date, price, where artifacts will live, and a line that the exception does not change policy. Say it once. Slow, then behave it. Treaty silence, not sulking silence, creates fear of missing you. They understand that access is scarce and documented. Machiavelli warned that discipline beats heat. Discipline is of more worth than fury. Translate this to relationships and work. Correct once on paper. Don't perform anger. Your calm line. Change logged. New delivery. Friday 16 Sishkak. Latest file at the link. Moves more than a hot paragraph. Turn generosity into reinforcement. Pain tempts you to stop giving entirely. Don't. Offer small, precise grace inside the frame. A short loom, clarifying a step, a light polish after delivery for partners who respected your map. Free within the rules builds loyalty. Free instead of the rules builds contempt. Your aura rises when kindness looks optional, not compulsory. Convert public pain into ledger, not theater. If blame hits a group thread, your nervous system wants to defend. Don't. Narrative is who felt what. Ledger is who did what, by when, and where it lives. Post the changelog line, the next delivery time, and the file location. Offer the door to extras, second block, later date, plus higher price. Then, go quiet. Screenshots favor clerks, not performers. A clerk with receipts looks powerful because the evidence ends scenes. Protect mornings as a sanctuary. Build first, then read. Pain often comes from trading your best hour for someone else's mood. If a request truly deserves the morning, it enters through the rush lane at the price that protects quality. Most fires die at the gate when they hit a clock and a number. The few that remain pay to exist and deserve your best mind. Keep your circles clean so pain doesn't poison judgment. Work lives in project rooms and calendars. Friends live after hours. Family has one emergency route. When circles cross, someone tries to solve scope in a private chat. You route once to the dock. Mixed lanes produce soft yeses and hard costs. Clean lanes produce fast yeses and clean exits. Clean lanes are dignity written down. Your look is a risk signal. Exact file names with dates, one latest link, punctual starts, clean endings, clear mic, steady frame, neutral face. Rooms test what looks movable. They plan around what looks expensive to move. You don't need to look fierce. You need to look finished. Finished is why pain stops traveling from yesterday into today. Leave this affirmation below. I protect access first. Everything else follows. Track 5 numbers each Friday so pain becomes pattern, not identity. Promises made, promises kept, promises rescheduled by written agreement. Percent of extras billed into second blocks. Billed hours protected. If a number dips, change a rule before you change your mood. Shrink scope, move calls, repost the rate card, reassert the corridor. Numbers are how you teach yourself that you're not at the mercy of feelings. You're at the service of a system. By the time you apply these, the aura arrives on its own. People feel your pace before they hear your pitch. They see the windows and plan to meet them. They understand speed is available, at a price, and that big changes happen once, not in drips. They learn that silence after a seal means complete, not confused. Pain didn't make you hard, it made you exact. That's the difference people fear losing. Pain demands tribute. You either pay in confusion or you pay in structure. Confusion overpays, extra calls, frantic replies, long explanations. Structure pays once and collects interest. Short lines, visible windows, strict corridors, priced speed, one-pass resets, clean exits. In this part, you'll turn recurring hurts into procedures your future self can enforce without adrenaline. The aim isn't toughness, it's economy. You'll make planning cheaper than pressing, evidence louder than emotion, and access scarcer than attention. Start by inventorying the 3 pains that keep repeating. Maybe you're always dragged into late-night DM debates. Maybe feedback arrives as moving targets. Maybe a single loud voice hijacks your day. Give each pain one counter rule you can obey on a bad day. Late-night debates? Reply windows that you actually keep. Moving targets? A change log that starts the next clock every time the scope moves. Hijacked days? Corridor routing and a tiny public pipeline. Committed. This week's items with dates. And queued. Approved extras with start dates and price. When push arrives, you don't explain feeling. You point to schedule. Pointers beat paragraphs because they spend no heat. Treat your calendar like armor. Pick 2 or 3 reply windows and attach the rest of your system to them. Inside windows you decide. Outside, you build and go quiet. Silence here isn't a test. It's a timetable. Your quiet makes people batch their asks and add context, because missing your window has a predictable cost. The fear of losing you becomes healthy. They fear missing the gate, not your approval. Your aura becomes the clock. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I turn pain into routes, and routes into receipts. Now give your requests a place to live that isn't your mood. Drift wins when work hides in chat or voice notes. Name corridors that everyone can use blindfolded. Updates in DMs, edits in the doc, files at one link with dated names, calls on the calendar, money on the invoice. When scope sneaks through a side door, it's tiny, can we just... You route once. Add it in the doc. I'll review in the window. If the push repeats, paste your corridor page and go quiet. The procedure is the message. You're not cold. You're consistent. Price behavior so urgency becomes honest, and your compassion stops being taxed. Underpricing tells the room that your best hour is free. Tie money to access and touch. Base tier. Outcomes with replies in windows and 2 revisions. Premium. Weekly call plus accelerated replies. Rush weekend, exception only, at a number that protects quality. Now your empathy can show up without being used, because there's a posted door for speed and a posted price for disruption. People don't stop asking. They start planning. Machiavelli warned in military terms about choosing the field of battle. What benefits the enemy harms you, and what benefits you harms the enemy. In your work, chaos is the enemy. Anything that benefits chaos. Open doors, free rushes, live time on demand, harms your delivery. Anything that benefits you, visible windows, priced speed, sealed, exits, starves chaos. Choose structure that starves the enemy. Convert live talk into artifacts so pain can't loop at night. Cap calls at 30 minutes on 2 days a week. At minute 28, speak and post the handoff. What we're doing, by when, where it lives, who owns next. Include an archive date and the door to the next paid block. The artifact closes the loop your brain wants to keep open. If one tiny tweak arrives later, reply with the changelog line, the start date, and the price. Exits that remember themselves become your aura's signature. Upgrade your first sentences so they carry more than your voice. Nervous openings pad for approval. Disciplined openings decide. Lead with outcome, date, and location. Draft ships. Wednesday 16 vol. Latest file will live in the shared folder. Then stop. No filler. The still second after the sentence is policy. Rooms obey clocks more than charisma when the clock is visible. Run a one-pass reset the moment you notice decay. Pain makes you want to be nicer next time. Structure makes you correct once. Post a dated reset that reinstalls windows, enforces corridors, caps revisions, states rush and late fee policies, sets archive cadence, and names the effective date. Then live it without lectures. Noise for a week, quiet for a year. Corrections beat apologies because they restore the schedule. Use treaties instead of threats when you must bend. Pain often tempts you to go brittle or go soft. Write a treaty instead. Start date, end date, price, where artifacts will live. And the sentence, this exception does not change policy. Say it once. Slow. Then let your routine enforce it. Treaties make flexibility safe because endings are stamped at the beginning. Channel old injuries into ledger mode when blame goes public. Narrative is who felt what. Ledger is who did what, by when, and where it lives. Post 3 lines, change log entry, next delivery time, file location, plus the door to extras, second block, later date plus price. Then return to the build window. Screenshots favor clerks, not performers. Ledger mode turns past pain into present procedure. Make planning cheaper than pressing by exposing the queue. Keep a read-only pipeline with 2 lists. Committed shows this week with dates. Queued shows approved extras with start dates and prices. When squeeze today hits, you point once to committed, once to their position in queued, and then you go quiet. Pointers conserve oxygen. After a month, people fight less and book more because fighting is now the slow path. Machiavelli observed how cycles slip from order into decay and back again. Virtue gives birth to quiet, quiet to leisure, leisure to disorder, disorder to ruin, and similarly from ruin, order is born. From order, virtue. Your rituals, windows, corridors, rate card, exit seals, hold the line between quiet and disorder. That's what your aura signals. We don't slide. Give your body a script so it doesn't negotiate away the rules. City pace walk in straight lines. Neutral face during terms, warmth after signatures. Hands at rest at navel height, one compact gesture, return to stillness. If intercepted, stop square, deliver the route, resume. Don't answer while moving. Don't nod while thinking. Blink once, slow, then decide. Your behavior makes your system look old. Old rules feel heavier. Calibrate generosity so it strengthens the frame. Pain wants revenge. Power wants loyalty. Offer precise grace after clean deliveries. A short loom clarifying a step or a light polish for partners who respected the map. Free inside the frame builds trust. Free instead of the frame builds contempt. Your kindness is not a coupon. It's a dividend paid out of order. Drop this affirmation near the end. I protect access first. Clarity, price, and peace follow. Protect mornings like a treasury. Build first, then read. If something truly deserves your best hour, it walks through the rush lane at the number that protects quality. Most fires die at a gate when they hit a clock and a price. The few that remain fund themselves and deserve your best mind. You don't work through pain. You work around it by making mornings untouchable. Finish scenes with seals, not smiles. 5 lines close the door. What shipped, where it lives, who owns next, archive date, path to the next paid block. Then you stop. If just one thing appears, paste the changelog line with date and cost. Doors that stay closed become remembered. Remembered doors become respect. Respect becomes your aura. Finally, give pain a dashboard so it can't define you. Every Friday, check 5 numbers. Promises made, promises kept. Promises rescheduled by written agreement. Percent of extras billed into second blocks. Build hours protected. If a number dips, change one rule. Shrink scope, move calls, repost the rate card, reassert the corridor, before you change your mood. Numbers make composure rational. They prove that your calm is a system, not a story. This is how hurt turns into heat you can use. You bind emotion to clocks and routes, to price and paper, to a reset you can run on a tired day. Over weeks, rooms feel it first in your opening line, and then in your closing seal. They plan to meet your window, not to catch your attention. They fear losing you not because you're loud, but because your map makes their work cheaper. That is the aura you keep when pain knocks again. Pain exposes where you lack procedure. Power appears when you replace that gap with visible rails. This phase is about turning your worst moments, ghosting after over-delivery, one tiny tweak after handoff, public blame without facts, into a map other people learn to respect. You'll convert sting into schedule, noise into corridors, urgency into price, and resentment into receipts. The result is an aura people feel before you speak. Calm, clocked, and costly to waste. Start by laminating your first line. When pressure hits, you don't explain your feelings. You give a decision, a date, and a location. Change logged. New delivery. Friday 16, latest file at the link. Then you stop. The still second after this line is part of the policy. Rooms obey clocks more than charisma when the clock is specific and visible. Make this your reflex whenever pain tries to pull you into debate. Transform moving target pain into a changelog ritual. Every scope shift creates a new dated entry that restarts the clock and, when appropriate, adds the cost. You paste the line beneath your decision sentence and move on. If a later message challenges your memory, you paste the same line again. Ledger beats narrative because ledger travels. Your aura rises each time paper, rather than personality, wins the room. Route everything through corridors, so injury never becomes argument. Updates in DMs, edits in the doc, files at one stable link with dated names, calls on the calendar, money on the invoice. When a side door opens, quick call, 5 minutes. You route once and go quiet. Please add it in the doc. I'll review in the window. If it repeats, you paste your corridor page and reduce access. Pain wants performance, procedure wants compliance. Choose procedure. Make planning cheaper than pressing with a visible queue. Keep 2 read-only lists. Committed, this week's deliveries with exact dates. And queued, approved extras with start dates and prices. When Squeeze Today arrives, you point to committed, then to their line in queued, and let silence do the rest. Pointers conserve oxygen. After a few cycles, people stop gambling with your time because booking is now the fast path. Price behavior, so urgency turns honest and your empathy stops being taxed. Base tier, outcomes with replies in windows and 2 revisions. Premium, weekly call and accelerated replies. Rush chin weekend, exception only at a number that protects quality. When speed has a cost, fake emergencies die at the gate. Real emergencies fund themselves. Quiet replaces resentment because math replaced mood. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I convert every sting into schedule, every debate into a date. Treat public pain with ledger, not theater. Narrative is who felt what. Ledger is who did what, by when, and where it lives. Post 3 lines, changelog entry, next delivery time, file location, plus the door to extras, second block, later date plus price. Then return to the build window. Screenshots favor clerks, not performers. The clerk with receipts always looks like the adult in the room. Build a one-pass reset whenever decay appears. If you've slipped into off-hour replies, unpriced favors, or calls that spill, don't drip 10 friendly reminders. Change the pipe once. Short, dated reset. Windows reinstated. Corridor mandatory. Revision caps. Rush price and late fee. Archive cadence. Effective date. Then behave it. Expect a week of noise and a year of quiet. Corrections beat apologies because they restore the calendar. Machiavelli wrote a hard truth about attachment and loss. Men more quickly forget the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony. Pain teaches the same lesson. People remember lost access and lost clarity more than your speeches. Guard what is costly. Your best hours, your windows, your seals, so others feel the price of wasting them. Calibrate generosity so it strengthens, not erodes, the frame. After a clean delivery, offer small grace for partners who respected your map. A short loom clarifying the next step, a light polish that removes friction. Free inside the rules reads as abundance. Free instead of the rules reads as guilt. Your aura grows when kindness looks intentional, not compulsory. Turn approval hunger into decisions. First writing. Subject lines that decide. First sentence, outcome, date, location. Second line opens the extras door. Logged to the change log starts in the second block with estimate attached. Links always point to the latest version. File names carry dates. Emojis wait until the page is real. Approval chases fade when your format saves people time. Protect mornings like a treasury, so yesterday's pain doesn't spend today's prime hour. Build first, then read. If something truly deserves the morning, it walks through the rush lane at the number that protects quality. Most fires collapse when they hit a clock and a price. The few that remain pay to exist and deserve your best mind. Treat exceptions as treaties so flexibility never melts your core. A treaty names start date, end date, price, where artifacts will live, and the line that the exception does not change policy. State it once, slow. When the treaty ends, it ends. No guilt tours. Pain respects paper that closes doors on schedule. Machiavelli warned against trusting appearances without proof. Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel. Package your order where they can see it. Dated files. One latest link. Punctual starts. Clean endings. Steady frame. Low voice. Visible order convinces before your words arrive. Use body rules to keep the system visible under heat. City pace walk in straight lines. Never answer while moving. Stop, square, sentence, resume. Eyes at brow level during terms. Warmth after signatures. Hands at rest at navel height. One compact gesture. Return to stillness. If intercepted, deploy the neutral pass. Small downward nod. Acknowledgement without agreement. Maintain cadence. Reply later inside your window through the corridor. Calm choreography outlasts loud intent. End scenes with seals, not smiles. 5 lines close the door. What shipped, where it lives, who owns next, archive date, path to the next paid block. If one quick thing arrives afterward, paste the changelog entry with start date and price. Doors you keep closed become remembered. Remembered doors become respect. Respect becomes aura. Leave this affirmation below. I protect access first. Clarity, price, and peace follow. Instrument your calm, so confidence isn't theater. Every Friday, review 5 numbers. Promises made, promises kept, promises rescheduled by written agreement. Percent of extras billed into second blocks. Build hours protected. If a metric dips, change one rule. Restate windows. Repin the corridor page. Reassert the rate card before you change your mood. Numbers turn hurt into homework. Homework turns into power. Hold these moves for a month, and the building will shift. Quick call becomes slot available. Can you just becomes logged in the dock. Midnight ping slide into windows or into premium lanes. People fear losing you, not because you are loud, but because your rails make their outcomes cheaper and their days quieter. Pain didn't harden you. It organized you. An organization feels like power. Pain becomes power when your systems are so visible that rooms correct themselves before you speak. The test is simple. Do people arrive with context, place asks through the corridor, and respect the clock without reminders? If yes, your hurt has been converted into rails. Reply windows that create anticipation, change logs that end debates, prices that make urgency honest, and exit seals that close scenes on schedule. You stop spending emotion because policy spends for you. Start by making your silence a timetable, not a mood. Publish 2 or 3 reply windows in the kickoff doc, your signature, and the welcome note. Inside those windows, you answer with decisions. Outside them, you build. When someone throws midnight pressure at you, you don't argue, soothe, or vent. You obey your window. Over a week, the building learns that missing you means missing a gate, not triggering a reaction. Fear of losing you becomes fear of missing the schedule. Upgrade your first sentence so it carries the weight your emotions used to carry. Lead with a decision, a date, and a location. Change logged, new delivery Friday. 16, latest file at the link. Then stop. That's still second after the line is part of your policy. People will fill it with planning rather than pressing because clocks beat charisma when the clock is specific. Route every input through corridors so hurt never turns into an argument. Updates live in DMs, edits in the doc, files at one stable link with dated names, calls on the calendar, money on the invoice. When a side door opens, quick call now? You answer once and then go quiet. Please add it in the doc. I'll review in the window. If they push again, you paste the corridor page. If they keep pushing, you reduce access. Geometry beats adrenaline. Links beat speeches. Make planning cheaper than pressing by exposing your queue. Keep 2 read-only lists. Committed, this week's deliveries with exact dates. And queued, approved extras with start dates and prices. When Squeeze Today shows up, you point to committed, then to their line in queued, and go quiet. Pointers conserve oxygen. Paragraphs spend it. A month of this turns debate into booking. Price behavior. So empathy stops being taxed. Underpricing invites pain because it trains people to buy your best hour with flattery and crisis. Tie money to access and touch. Base tier delivers outcomes with replies in windows and 2 revisions. Premium adds a weekly call and accelerated replies. Rush weekend is exception only at a number that protects quality. When speed costs what it takes from you, fake emergencies die at the gate. Real ones fund themselves. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I protect access first. Clarity, price, and peace follow. Convert moving target frustration into a change log habit. Each scope shift creates a dated entry that restarts the clock and, when needed, adds cost. You paste the line under your decision sentence and keep building. If memory gets challenged later, you paste the same line again. Ledger beats narrative because ledger travels. Your aura strengthens each time the page, rather than the mood, wins the room. End live moments with a seal so pain can't loop at night. Calls happen on 2 days and cap at 30 minutes. At minute 28, you deliver the handoff paragraph. What we're doing, by when, where it lives, who owns next. Add archive date and the door to the next paid block. Post it before you stand. If tiny tweak appears later, paste the changelog line with date and price. Doors you leave closed, stay remembered. Doors you flutter become invitations. Write treaties, not threats, when you must bend for value. The treaty lists start date, end date, price, where artifacts will live, and a line that the exception does not change policy. You say it once, slow, and then you behave it. When the treaty ends, it ends. No guilt tours. Flexibility with paper builds trust. Flexibility without paper builds resentment, especially in you. Train your body to match your rails so people feel governance before they hear it. Walk at a city-steady pace in straight segments. Door, seat, seat, board, board, exit. Don't answer while moving. Stop, square, sentence, resume. Eyes at brow level during terms. Warmth after signatures. Hands rest at navel height with one compact gesture and a return to stillness. Neutral face, clear mic, steady frame. Appearance is a risk signal. Finished beats fierce. Machiavelli warned that order outlasts heat. Discipline is of more worth than fury. Replace emotional pushes with disciplined reapplication of your rails, windows, corridors, prices, seals. The calm line that decides and dates will move more work than a hot paragraph. Turn public pain into evidence, not theater. Narrative is who felt what. Ledger is who did what, by when and where it lives. If blame goes public, post 3 lines. The changelog entry, the next delivery time, and the file location, and add the door to extras. Second block, later date plus price. Then go quiet and return to the build window. Screenshots favor clerks, not performers. Be the clerk with receipts. Guard mornings like a treasury. Most resentment starts when you give your best hour to other people's moods. Build first, then read. If a request truly deserves the morning, it walks through the rush lane at a price that protects quality. Most fires die when they meet a clock and a number. The rare ones that remain pay to exist and deserve your best mind. Publish the rails inside your assets, so your mouth doesn't have to police them. Proposal shows included, not included on page 1. Signature states, reply windows, and the premium escalation path. Deck footer lists revision caps and handoff date. Delivery note ends with ownership transfer, archive date, and the door to the next paid block. When rules live on the page, your tone can stay warm, while your terms stay hard. Machiavelli advised that timing must match the times. I have repeatedly noted that the good or bad fortune of men depends on whether their methods of acting accord with the character of the times. Today's times reward visible order, dated files, predictable cadence, receipts over rhetoric. Align your methods so your calm looks modern, not stubborn. Run one-pass resets whenever decay appears. If you've slid into off-hour replies, freebies, and spillover calls, don't drip 10 reminders. Change the pipe once. Repost windows, pin the corridor page, reattach the rate card, restate rush and late fee policy, set archive cadence, and note the effective date. Then enforce quietly. Expect 1 week of noise and 1 year of quiet. Corrections beat apologies because they change the calendar. Make planning cheaper than pressing with public visibility. Keep your committed queued doc pinned in every thread. Maintain one latest link with dated file names. Rehearse your opener, decision, date, location, until you can deliver it under heat. The consistency becomes your aura. People recognize the format and adjust before you arrive. Leave this affirmation below. I convert hurt into rails and let the rails do the talking. Instrument your dignity so it can't be negotiated away. Every Friday, check 5 numbers. Promises made, promises kept, promises rescheduled by written agreement, percent of extras billed into second blocks, build hours protected. If a number dips, change one rule before you change your mood. Shrink scope, move calls to 2 days, repost the rate card, reassert the corridor. Numbers turn pain into homework and homework into power. Strength is no longer a feeling you try to project. It's a structure people can see. They fear losing you not because you're loud, but because your map makes their outcomes cheaper and their days calmer. Hurt didn't make you hard. It made you exact. Exact is expensive to waste. And that is the aura they sense when you walk in. Pain is a teacher with a loud voice. The question is whether you keep reliving the lesson or you write it into the system. An aura of power is not personality. It's policy that remembers. You've been turning hurt into structure. Reply windows that make people plan. Corridors that catch chaos. Pricing that makes urgency honest. One-pass resets that erase drift, and exits that actually end the scene. This final layer makes the order public and self-enforcing so your calm doesn't depend on willpower. People fear losing you because your rails make their outcomes cheaper and their days clearer. Start by making your calm visible before you speak. Arrive on a steady pace, pause half a beat at the threshold, plant both feet, take one low breath, and open with a single sentence that decides and locates what happens, by when, where it lives. Change logged. New delivery Friday 16. Latest file at the link. Then stillness for a beat. The pause is policy. Rooms obey clocks when the clock is specific and public. If anyone tries to pull you into feelings, you point back to the decision and the date. Timestamps beat temperature. Turn recurring hurts into standing pages that carry your voice. Page 1. Windows. 2 or 3 reply windows per day. Posted in the kickoff doc, signature, and welcome note. Page 2. Corridor. Updates in DMs, edits in the doc, files at one link with dated names, calls on the calendar, money on the invoice. Page 3. Pricing. Base outcomes inside windows with 2 revisions. Premium weekly call and accelerated replies. Rush weekend exception only, at a number that protects quality. Page 4. Seals. What shipped, where it lives, who owns next. Archive date. Door to the next paid block. When policy lives on paper, your tone can stay warm while your terms stay hard. Make planning cheaper than pressing with a tiny public pipeline. 2 read-only lists, always current. Committed. This week's deliveries with exact dates. Queued. Approved extras with start dates and prices. When squeeze today hits, you point once to committed, once to their slot in queued, and go quiet. Pointers conserve oxygen. Arguments burn it. After a month, the building stops gambling with your time and starts booking it because booking is the fast lane. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I make planning cheaper than pressing, and let receipts end debates. Protect access first so your empathy stops getting taxed. Keep 3 circles and let behavior move people inward. Outer. Polite delays, no live time. Standard. Replies in windows, async reviews. Inner. 1 live slot per week. Accelerated replies, strategic talk. Movement inward is earned by clean inputs, punctual pay, and respect for windows. Scarcity is a calmer teacher than speeches. The fear of losing you becomes the fear of losing access to a reliable map. Use a one-pass reset whenever decay appears. Pain often returns as leaks, off-hour replies, Scope through chat. Just this once live time. Calls that spill long. Don't drip 10 reminders. Change the pipe once. Post a dated reset that reinstalls Windows, repins the corridor page, caps revisions, restates rush and late fee policy, sets archive cadence, and names the effective date. Then behave it. Expect noise for a week and quiet for a year. Corrections beat apologies because they restore the schedule. Treat exceptions as treaties so flexibility doesn't melt your core. A treaty has a start date, end date, price, where artifacts will live, and the sentence, "This exception does not change policy." Say it once, slow, and then let the paper enforce it. When the treaty ends, it ends. No guilt tours. You can be generous without becoming soft because endings are stamped at the beginning. Convert live talk into artifacts so pain can't loop at night. Calls happen on 2 days and cap at 30 minutes. At minute 28, deliver the handoff paragraph. What we're doing, by when, where it lives, who owns next. Add archive date and the door to the next paid block, and post it before you stand. If one quick thing appears later, you paste the changelog line with start date and price. Doors you leave closed stay remembered. Doors you flutter become invitations. Machiavelli wrote a group rule that saves your energy. A people is wiser and more constant than a prince. Build your order where groups can see it. Dated files, visible cues, posted windows, standard seals, and the group will self-correct to your rails. Your aura rises because culture, not volume, carries your boundary. Design red zone corridors for the hour you're most likely to be swarmed. In that window, nothing is decided in motion. If intercepted in a hallway, you stop, square, speak one decision sentence with date and location, then resume your original line. On camera, you lower volume as others rise and lengthen pauses by a beat. Lungs set tempo. Tempo sets control. People adapt because trying to capture you is now slower than using your map. Write like your stance. Decisions first, doors second. Subject lines that decide. First sentence, outcome, date, location. Second line opens the extras door. Log to the changelog. Starts in the second block with estimate attached. Links always point to the latest file. File names carry dates. If context must be long, it lives below the decision block. Emojis after the page is real. Your format saves time. Formats that save time get respected. When blame goes public, switch from narrative to ledger. Narrative is who felt what. Ledger is who did what, by when, and where it lives. Post the changelog entry, the next delivery time, and the file location. Offer the extras door. Then return to the build window. Screenshots favor clerks, not performers. A clerk with receipts looks powerful because the evidence ends scenes. Leave this. Affirmation near the end. Calm voice, firm terms. Proof on a date. Guard mornings like a treasury, so yesterday's hurt doesn't spend today's prime hour. Build first, then read. If a request truly deserves the morning, it enters through the rush lane at the number that protects quality. Most fires die when they hit a clock and a price. The few that survive fund themselves and deserve your best mind. Your aura grows each time you show that attention is a priced asset, not a faucet. Let appearance do half your enforcement. Exact file names with dates. One latest link. Punctual starts. Clean endings. Neutral face. Clear mic, steady frame. Rooms test edges that look movable. They plan around edges that look expensive to move. You don't need to look fierce. You need to look finished. Finished says, low risk, and low risk is what sponsors hire and teams protect. Machiavelli reminded leaders that cadence beats heat. To keep soldiers obedient and trained is the first duty of a captain. Treat your nervous system as that soldier. Train windows, corridors, scripts, and seals until they fire on tired days. A trained cadence outlasts louder energy. Keep a 5-number dashboard so calm is measurable, not theatrical. Promises made, promises kept, promises rescheduled by written agreement. Percent of extras build into second blocks. Build hours protected. If a number dips, change a rule before you change your mood. Shrink scope, move calls to 2 days. Repost the rate card, reassert the corridor. Numbers are how you keep dignity from being negotiated away. Protect circles so judgment stays sharp. Work lives in project rooms and calendars. Friends live after hours. Family has one emergency path. When lines blur, you redirect once to the corridor. Mixed lanes make soft yeses and hard costs. Clean lanes make fast yeses and clean exits. Clean lanes are dignity written down. Your aura isn't magic. It's a set of rails that make other people's work cheaper and safer. You speak in dates and links. You route every ask through a corridor. You make speed pay for the stress it causes. You reset once instead of begging 10 times. And you end scenes with seals that let everyone sleep. Pain didn't make you hard. It made you exact. Exact is expensive to waste. And that is the quiet fear you want in the room when you arrive.